Have you noticed that most products on Amazon are complete shit? Whether you're trying to buy a USB-C dongle or a power bank or a shelf or a kitchen rack, whatever you end up receiving is more than likely complete trash. In fact, this is one of the main reasons that I have avoided shopping on Amazon as much as possible over the past several years. And it's basically guaranteed that regardless of what you buy, it'll be a league below what you paid for it. The caveat for this is obviously branded items. If you're buying a Dell monitor or a Samsung TV, you're obviously gonna get the same thing no matter where you buy. Also, I do want to give credit to some small businesses who really do care about their products and their customers, like these guys, who make phenomenal shelf brackets. But putting those exceptions aside, the vast majority of products that fall into the FBA dropshipping category are atrociously cheap products. And when we peel back the layers, it's no wonder why. Remember that $23 USB-C dongle that I mentioned at the beginning of the video? Well, the exact same dongle can be bought on Alibaba for as little as $1.50 per unit. Obviously, you or I couldn't buy it for this price because you'd need to buy tens of thousands of units, but it perfectly explains why the quality is so bad. Out of the $23 that you're paying for this dongle, less than a tenth of it is actually going towards the product that you're actually buying. No wonder the product sucks. It's the same thing with power banks, shelves, kitchen racks, and basically anything else you want to buy on Amazon. You'd likely be far better off just buying directly from the supplier than buying it from Amazon. And unsurprisingly, this is precisely what Temu has been trying to do, connect customers directly with manufacturers, which has proven to be extremely successful. In fact, Temu is one of the most popular apps in the US at the moment, but how did things even get so bad on Amazon? And with fierce competition entering the scene, where does that leave Amazon's third-party marketplace? Well, let's find out. If you're interested in deeper dives, interviews with insiders, and exclusive tech analysis, consider subscribing to our free weekly newsletter. But anyway, taking a look back, Amazon's terrible quality products are a direct result of the fundamentals of online retail. Just think about how Amazon was even able to break into the retail market in the first place. It was by selling books, and more specifically, a wider array of books than anyone else. In fact, Amazon used to regularly call themselves the world's largest bookstore, a claim that actually got them sued by Barnes & Noble. But Barnes & Noble was just being salty. The reality was that Amazon operated extremely well as a bookstore because it filled a clear market need. There were only so many books that any retail store could ever carry, so it made sense to have an online catalog where you could buy virtually any book in the entire world. This concept applies to any product that has a high quantity of SKUs. For example, replacement parts for microwaves and laptops or hard-to-find records and DVDs. There was always significant demand for products like this, but it just never made sense to carry at retail locations because the volume for any one SKU was just not large enough. By centralizing the store with the help of the internet, however, Amazon was able to uniquely serve this market and grow into a multi-deca-billion-dollar company. But Amazon wasn't happy with serving just this market. They wanted to dominate retail as a whole, so they kept expanding their offerings, and their next target market was branded products. They would start carrying branded products like TVs, computers, microphones, cameras, etc. This was also an extremely clever strategy. The reality was that running physical stores and paying a bunch of employees was expensive, meaning that the markup for electronics was almost always higher at physical stores than on Amazon. This is what led to the practice of showrooming in the early 2010s. If you're not familiar with showrooming, it's when you go to a physical retailer to check out a branded product and then order it online for cheaper. The one caveat for this strategy was that if you bought stuff online, you'd have to pay for shipping. But oftentimes, the savings far offset the shipping cost, so buying on Amazon was once again a no-brainer. In fact, this trend killed several big box stores like Toys R Us and Sears. Even Best Buy and Target had a couple of extremely rough years as they struggled to adapt, but Amazon's quest for dominance was by no means complete. They had one more category to dominate, everyday goods, but this is where Amazon's value proposition really started to crumble. You see, unlike high SKU goods and high-ticket purchases, everyday goods were something that physical retailers had perfected over decades of business. Most everyday goods like water bottles and rugs are usually sold for single-digit margins, especially at places like Costco and Sam's Club. So almost everything that you pay actually goes towards the product itself. Things like logistics, inventory management, retail operations, and customer service had already been optimized to the max at these stores, so what you were getting was pure value. This was somewhere that Amazon really couldn't compete, yet they would try anyway, leading us to an endless array of hot garbage. Honestly, Amazon kind of knew from day one that everyday goods was a category in which they couldn't really compete in, and that's why they never really did. Of course, they've got Amazon Basics, but they only sell a limited amount of products through this brand. Amazon's true play for the everyday home goods and electronics category was Amazon FBA, or Fulfilled by Amazon. If you're not familiar with Amazon FBA, it's basically when Amazon takes on the entire logistic responsibility of selling online goods. All sellers had to do was create a listing on Amazon and buy goods from Alibaba. Amazon would handle the rest. I want to note that this was an extremely clever strategy by Amazon. They basically offloaded the entire inventory and marketing risk to sellers and became a logistics business while also bolstering themselves as the place that you can find absolutely anything. Honestly, quite a stellar strategy from Amazon's side, but not so great from the user's perspective. The first obstacle that sellers ran into was shipping. Getting customers to pay $20 to ship a $1,000 laptop was easy, but getting customers to pay $5 to ship a $20 kitchen rack was a lot harder. For most people, it simply made more sense to pick up a kitchen rack for $20 the next time they went to Walmart. Now, you might be saying, well, that's where Amazon Prime is super useful. You know, just pay $120 or $140 per year and get unlimited 2-day free shipping. But the reality is that the Prime subscription is nowhere near enough for this level of logistics. Behind the scenes, Amazon actually charges both sellers and buyers for logistics. And since customers were reluctant to pay for shipping directly on everyday goods, sellers started to absorb the cost into the price of the product itself. And this was by no means a small fee to absorb. Sellers have to pay Amazon a monthly subscription fee, a 12 to 15% referral fee, a per unit inventory fee, a per unit fulfillment fee, and a bunch of other miscellaneous fees as well, like labeling fees. I actually used to sell on Amazon back in high school, and the typical amount that would go to Amazon for fulfillment and logistics for $20 to $50 items was 1/3 of the price of the product. And this is by no means Amazon's fault, as at the end of the day, they're not making any money either. All of this money is just being burnt on convenience and getting any product in the world to your doorstep in record time. So off the bat, 1/3 of what you're paying is just going to logistics, and then you've got the next big hurdle, which is marketing. And I'm not talking about traditional marketing efforts like TV ads or video campaigns. I'm talking about paying to be at the top of Amazon search. Ranking at the top is critical because sales drop off exponentially the lower you rank. Even if you naturally rank high, it still makes sense to have a sponsored listing rank high as well, because this basically doubles your chances of getting sales. And for highly competitive industries like USB-C dongles and apple slicers, you have to pay Amazon $2 to $5 every time someone clicks on your sponsored listing. Each click can even cost as much as $10. The good news is that conversion rates on Amazon are super high, but nonetheless, about 1/3 of what you're paying for ends up going towards marketing. And this is especially true for dropshippers who have to run Facebook and TikTok ads. With 1/3 going towards fulfillment and 1/3 going towards shipping, you're only left with 1/3. Half of that usually goes towards profit, and the remaining half actually goes towards the product itself. So only about 1/6 of what you're paying for actually goes towards the product. Now, if you want to compare that to a water bottle that you find at Costco, the math likely looks something more like this. 80% goes towards the product, 10% goes towards logistics, 10% goes towards profit, and 0% goes towards marketing. With that in mind, it's no wonder why everyday goods at Costco are leagues ahead of crap on Amazon. And that brings us to the question of, where do we go from here? Now, I know this video has so far been extremely negative towards Amazon FBA and dropshipping, so before we go any further, I want to clarify that these guys are not the bad guys. Sellers are not trying to screw you over with low quality goods. The simple truth is that it's just not economical to ship highly marketed everyday goods straight to your house. There are simply too many parties involved and too much friction, and naturally most of what you're paying for ends up going towards marketing, convenience, and markups. The fundamental reason for this is that high-volume everyday goods do not benefit from going online. Books benefit from going online, low-volume parts benefit from going online, and high-ticket electronics benefit from going online. But kitchen racks? Kitchen racks do not benefit from going online or being heavily marketed. Instead, kitchen racks benefit from economies of scale and the big box store model where logistics and marketing expenses can be minimized so that customers get the best bang for the buck. I suspect that most consumers are naturally starting to realize this after getting repeatedly burned by low-quality goods on Amazon. This is likely one of the main reasons why the post-COVID physical retailer rebound was way stronger than most experts expected. Surprisingly enough, some things actually just don't work better online. And then there's the whole Temu side of things, which I think will be the nail in the coffin for low-quality garbage on Amazon. Temu is basically Amazon FBA, but without any of the friction. By eliminating Amazon and sellers from the picture, Temu is able to connect consumers directly with manufacturers, and people seem to be loving it. Now, let's be clear, you're not going to be getting top-tier products from Temu, and this video is not sponsored by Temu. It really doesn't matter to me whether you buy from them or not. What I can confidently say though is that on Temu, the quality actually matches the price. Instead of spending $20 to get a $5 dongle, you can just spend $5 to get a $5 dongle. And as Temu continues to establish themselves in Western markets, a bunch of FBA sellers and dropshippers are likely about to get wrecked. This isn't to say that Amazon FBA and dropshipping are no longer viable. It's just that you can't slap your logo on some random Chinese product, mark it up a bunch, and sell it to Western consumers. Instead, you actually have to build a quality brand and business because the Amazon FBA and dropshipping gold rush are officially over. If you're interested in having companies pay you, check out our bond investing platform Silo in the description below. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.